From Think Summit's presenting sponsor, People-Centric Consulting Group, Chief Innovation Officer, Don Harkey.
Good morning, everyone. What ice storm, right? Welcome, thinkers. So excited that you can all be here. So, as we think about what we're here for, what are you here for? Learn some stuff, pick up some great ideas, right? As we think about what we're here for, I think about back when I was in college. And how many of you went to school? Any kind of school? Any schooling at all? We'll just open that up. If you went to school, raise your hand. Okay, so you went to school. So you learned some good things, and then you went out to apply those things. And I remember going to my first job. It was at Archer Daniels Midland. I'm a business consultant, so my degree's in chemical engineering. That's a normal thing. And when I went to my very first job, and you show up, and I'm thinking, man, all this stuff I know, like I still remember calculus kind of, and I remember chemistry, and I remember all this stuff. It's really, really exciting. So you get to your first day, and you think, wow, all that stuff that I know, and I really don't know anything, right? How many of you had that experience? That first day, I need to apply this, and you recognize that first meeting. I sat down in the production office, and they said, hey, so we're going to, welcome to the corn plant. We're going to work in the mill, and the third grinder and blah, blah, blah is down. And they started talking, and they had this whole meeting, and I understood about 5% of what they said. And then they got up, and I remember standing there going, like, I don't know what to do now. And I remember standing and looking at another engineer and saying, hey, where do I go next? What happens next? When we think about these ideas and these thoughts that we come together, it's really not just about the thoughts, it's about the actions, right? It's about the things that we do next. What actions are we going to take? So at People-Centric, we're really, really interested in the actions. We don't just talk about what knowledge do you need to take. So we do a little bit of training, and a lot of times business people think, well, it's just about training, that thing I need to know. But it's really about how are you going to put it into action. And when we talk about action, we think about three different things. We think about engagement, we think about focus, and we think about accountability. So write that down in your People-Centric little, your small ideas books, if you brought those from up front in our Thinkubator. It's engagement, focus, and accountability. Here's what I'd encourage you to do with this event today. So here you're at the Think Summit. First of all, I want you to engage it. Okay? It's really easy to sit in the audience and listen to some great ideas and maybe walk around and see some stuff and collect some free stuff and eat some great food. But what I want you to do is I want you to engage it at a different level. I want you to have conversations with people. I want you to be challenged. I want you, when a speaker leaves the room and they go next door here to the table and it really, really inspired you, I want you to go out and I want you to talk to them. I want you to drink up this experience. I want you to engage it. Okay? And a lot of times engagement starts with a conversation. Okay? Second thing I want you to do is I want you to be really focused. I want you to find some focus. I want to challenge you to come spend some time, come out to our People-Centric Thinkubator outside, sit down, look at these ideas that you have, and decide what do you want to do next. If you're passionate about clean water and you want to get involved with it, think about what you can do to help and how you can get involved. Come up with some clear steps that you can take, some things that you can do differently, okay? And then the third thing I want you to do is accountability. I want you to tell somebody what your idea is. Okay, that's the scariest part, right? Because if you tell somebody else what your idea is, what you're going to do next, that means they're going to probably expect you to do it. You're going to be more likely to take action. So what we've done is we've set up a little station outside. It's called the People-Centric Thinkubator. I came up with that name. Thinkubator. I'm going to say it again. I want to try this again. It's called the People-Centric Thinkubator. That, right? Yeah, that's a great name. Diana said, hey, we need a name for our station out there. And I said, the Thinkubator. Dropped the mic, went home for the day. It was pretty much, that was over. Yeah. But come out to our Thinkubator, and we're going to have a board up there. And it's called our breakthrough. Are you ready for a breakthrough? And I want you to write your breakthroughs up on the board. Okay? We're also going to have these little cards that you can hold up, and we can take a picture, and you're going to post it on your social media feed, and we're going to do the same thing. And it's going to be, what actions are you going to take next? What thing are you going to learn from here? That's going to make either your business or your community or yourself better from this experience. Okay? Springfield is awesome at pulling people together. Right? We're great. We do an event like this, which nothing like this has occurred, but we pull people together and we have great conversations about things. What we need to get better at is taking action afterwards. So I'm going to encourage you to think about engagement, focus, and accountability, and stop by our People-Centric Thinkubator at the end of the day. That's what we're all about. All right? Are you guys all in on this? Yeah. Are you guys excited? What'd you think of the first couple speakers? Right? Wasn't that awesome? Yeah. There is so many opportunities in this town for you to get involved. So many different opportunities, and it's really up to you. You ever heard the they word pop up in a community? What are they going to do about this? What are they going to do about this? What are they going to do about this? Guess who they is? Raise your hand if you are they. If you're not raising your hand, you are not getting this correctly, right? You are now they. You are the one that's going to make these changes. You are the ones that are going to take advantage of these opportunities. You're the ones that are going to make your business better by engaging in conversations with your employees and your customers to make your business better. You're the ones that are going to make the community better by engaging other people that are passionate about just what you're passionate about. That's what we really stand for at People Centric. It's not just the ideas. It's about the actions, about the things that happen at the end of the day. All right? So we all in on this? We all in this together? We're going to spend the day together, and then we're going to end this at the Drink Summit, which does not sound bad to me. Right? All right. So now, it is my pleasure to introduce Jeff Nini from the Convoy of Hope. Jeff's been involved in communication for over 30 years, serving since 2002 as the national spokesperson and special assistant to the president of Convoy of Hope, a faith-based compassion ministry based in Springfield. How many of you are familiar with Convoy of Hope? Right? Of course you are. I was out on the East Coast, and I was on a plane with somebody, and they were talking about ministry, and I said, hey, have you ever heard of Convoy of Hope? And they said, well, of course. And I said, well, I'm from Springfield. And they said, oh, that's amazing what that group does. They've been an organization that's founded since 1994, and they have a driving passion to feed the world. That sounds like a big job to me. I don't know. That was a big job just to feed all of you here today. Imagine trying to feed the world. They have a long history of early response times, early sponsors in times of disaster. They've got a really cool center here in Springfield where they watch disasters pending. They've got like an earthquake monitoring system and everything. It's crazy what they do. They've got high-tech earthquake response systems to be able to go out and respond to any kind of natural disaster. And to date, over the last 22 years, Convoy of Hope has served more than 85 million people. 85 million people. That's more people than are in this room right now. 85 million people. So please help me to welcome Jeff Nini from Convoy of Hope.
Oh, thank you guys very much. I woke up this morning and I thought, it's probably going to be me and 5 people this morning. The first ice storm of 2017. Thank you guys for making the effort to be here. Couple things I wanted to mention. My assigned topic this morning is, can Convoy of Hope save the world? Now that sounds awful grandiose, doesn't it? I thought about that and I thought, man, how do I address that? Well, then I came up with an idea. And I think my answer might surprise you, but a few of the girls that put this conference together said, we want you to talk a little bit about what Convoy of Hope does. And one of the reasons for that is I think a lot of people think of us. How many of you think we're a disaster response organization? How many of you think we do more than that? Oh, good. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. We have a world distribution center over off of Chestnut. It's a warehouse, let's face it. But inside that warehouse, we have a emergency operations center, and there, from that point, we respond to disasters locally. We respond to disasters domestically and internationally as well. I'll just show you a couple of those. Back in 2004, you remember the tsunami hit Southeast Asia? We were there within a couple weeks being able to respond to that, bringing food, clothing, education supplies. Hurricane Katrina, just a few months later, Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast and just devastated parts of Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi. And then a few years after that, Haiti. Horrific earthquake hit Haiti. We responded. We were already working in Haiti with our children's feeding program, went down there, and we were able to serve thousands upon tens of thousands of people in the country of Haiti, still working there today. This was from the tsunami and earthquake that hit Japan a few years ago. We were there within days, able to respond to that and bring some life-saving supplies to that country as well. A little more local. Flooding through the Midwest has always been a problem. We've been able to respond to flooding in Illinois, here in Missouri, Iowa, all up and down the Mississippi, giving us a chance to help people in that area. This was from Hurricane Sandy. Do you remember when that hit the East Coast, New York, New Jersey? We were able to go there, be a part of that. One of my favorite ones, if there's such a thing as a favorite disaster, we were able to respond in Florida. That you can tell how long ago this was. President Bush and Governor Bush from Florida, we had the opportunity to work with them down there. And then one that I know you all remember, the Joplin tornado. We were involved in Joplin for over 3 years after that event. And then 10 years ago this week, we're getting that today, right? No, please no. The ice storm that hit Springfield, we were very involved in providing food, water, and supplies to that. And we've been really fortunate through that process. The local media, the national media has been very gracious, very kind in telling our story and getting out the word, what we do in disaster response. But we do so much more. And I wanted to take just a moment, actually 90 seconds, and show you a little bit about what we've been involved with just this past year.
For many, 2016 will be remembered as a divisive year. And while that may be true in some ways, we at Convoy of Hope look around and see a different story in 2016. A story about kindness. Together, not just in spite of our differences, but in light of them, we provided 48 million meals to kids and families around the world. Together, we empowered over 640 women to start new businesses so they could feed their families. Together, we trained and equipped 1,500 farmers to increase their crops. In the U.S., your kindness helped us provide shoes, haircuts, backpacks, groceries, family portraits, and more to over 375,000 working poor individuals in cities and rural communities across America. With your help, we responded to 19 domestic and 6 international disasters, bringing food, water, and hope to survivors of fires, droughts, hurricanes, and wars. As we look back at 2016, it isn't a story about what divided us. It's a story that brought almost 60,000 volunteers together to give over 1 million hours of their time. It's a story about shipping more than $100 million worth of food and supplies to your neighbors in need. It's a story that joined you to each one of the 8 million people we serve together. And for those we serve, we believe that because of the kindness they received, they will have a little more to offer others. And that's how we change the world. So as we make our way through 2017, let's take a deep breath. Look our neighbors in the eye, give a smile, and offer a little kindness. It goes a long way.
I want you to think about that word kindness that was mentioned at the end. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Now, 2016 was an amazing year, and one of the coolest things that happened with us in 2016 was getting to partner with the city of Springfield and so many great churches, businesses, organizations, nonprofits, and an event that we put together out at the fairgrounds in May that was able to touch the life of literally thousands of people in our community. And that was just a great start to 2016. Unfortunately, our beginnings for Convoy of Hope didn't start that well. We were actually birthed out of tragedy back in 1969. Our founders, the 4 children that you see there in the middle of that picture, lived in the Bay Area of California. Their father was killed in 1969 by a drunk driver, and their mother was severely injured. And as a result of that event, those children instantly went from middle class to living in poverty. They had to move in with a family that they didn't really know that well, 10 people living in a little 65-foot trailer. But that made an impression on them. They, in that moment, had to begin living off welfare, food stamps, and the kindness of others. And that is really what directed us to Convoy of Hope today. About probably 15, maybe 20 years after that happened, these children got together. They partnered with a local church in a community in that area of the Bay Area of California. This church said, we have a lot of people living in our neighborhood that are having trouble putting food on the table. Can you help us? So they went out, they borrowed a pickup truck, they went to a grocery store, bought some groceries, went to that neighborhood and distributed that food among those needy families in that area. And that was really the beginning of the Convoy of Hope. And let me share just a few statistics with you. In the past 22 years, since we started in 1994, we've been able to serve 85 million people. And to those 85 million people, we've distributed $650 million of food and supplies. We've been able to partner with over 37,000 churches, businesses, community organizations, nonprofits. And that's a key to what we do, is that partnership, because we realize we can't do this by ourselves. We've been able to mobilize over 500,000 volunteers, respond to over 300 disasters, and like that May 7th event here in Springfield last year, we've done 1,100 of those type of community events. And that is really what makes up the Convoy of Hope, the variety of what we do. We've got an amazing children's feeding initiative. 162,000 kids right now that we're feeding on a daily basis. That's a lot of meals. Anybody want to cook? It's a lot of meals. But one of our foundation principles is this. We don't want to be that organization that just throws food off the back of a truck. We want to be able to create a sustainable model that helps break the cycle of poverty in these people's lives. Another way to put that, we want to feed these children, but we don't want to feed their children. We want to see them break that cycle of poverty. So what we've tried to do is create methods of training so that they can learn and figure out how to feed themselves. I mentioned we have 162,000 kids right now in that feeding program. We're shooting for 200,000 by the year 2020. We've provided jobs training. This is part of that sustainable effort. Jobs training for over 4,000 mothers, training them how to start businesses, how to run businesses. Then we give them seed capital so that they can open that business debt-free. And then we follow them for the first year after they've started that business and help ensure that they're successful. We've trained over 12,000 farmers in how to grow their own food. And this really started in Haiti not too long after the earthquake. We went down there, found a group that the rice farming industry in Haiti had shut down. There was nobody farming anymore. We found a group of guys and said, hey, if we teach you how to farm, if we teach you best practices, if we teach you a better way, better methods, and if we guarantee that we will buy most of your product back from you and use it to feed the children in your country, will you go back to farming? Well, that was a no-brainer, and they said they would. So those 30 farmers that we started with in Haiti has now evolved into over 12,000 farmers and individuals that are professionally farming, community farming, and farming for their own individual households. And here's what we've learned. If we can feed their children, if we can provide jobs and job training for the mothers, if we can help them grow their own food, then their family crisis is over and that cycle of poverty is broken. So that brings us back to that big question, the one I was afraid of. Can Convoy of Hope save the world? And my answer is no. There's no way. If you think about it, what's our world population now? 7.5, 8 billion people? You look at 85 million, and that's a drop in the bucket. 80% of the world lives on $10 or less. Think about that, $10 a day or less. I can't imagine living in that kind of poverty. So what do we do? How do we fix it? If one organization can't do it, if even one country or one government can't do it, who is the answer to saving the world? What's the answer to saving the world? And that's the surprising answer, I think, is the answer is you. You are the one that can do it. You're the one that can make that impact. And you say, Jeff, how do I do that? I'm going to tell you a short story. Several years ago, I had the opportunity to meet this guy. It's the Dalai Lama of Tibet. And this was a really unique, incredible opportunity. We had the opportunity to travel to New Jersey and interview him. It was supposed to be a really short interview for a TV special I was working on. So we went there, and he ended up spending half the day with us, our small crew. And I differ a lot from the Dalai Lama, especially in matters of faith. I'm a Christian. He's a Buddhist. We look at things differently. We look at our worldview is very, very different. But I was just blown away by the way this guy did two things. Number one, he was a thinker. He was always thinking. But what struck me even more is he loved people. He just loved. We were supposed to have a half an hour to an hour with him. And he spent 4 to 5 hours with us because he just loved hanging out. He just loved being able to talk and to visit and to talk about world issues. And I love the way his mind works. And he's come up with many, many different quotes. But my favorite quote is this. Be kind, goes back to that word kindness. Be kind whenever possible. It's always possible. Be kind whenever possible. It's always possible. And I truly believe that. You and I have the opportunity, if we want to see a difference in the world, if we want to make a difference in the world, that's where it starts, with kindness. Now, what are some ways that you and I can express kindness? We've just gone through, here it comes, an election cycle. We saw kindness on display everywhere, didn't we? All over Facebook, all over Instagram and Twitter, everybody just being kind, loving one another. But that's really where it starts, using kind words, using a kind tone when you talk to someone. What are some other ways that we can be kind? Maybe pay an unexpected visit to somebody at work or somebody in your family that's not feeling well. And on your way home, you stop by and see them and just say, hey, I'm concerned about you. I wanted to stop and see how you were doing. Maybe it's a phone call or a note or an email or a text. Just something out of the blue to be kind to someone. A lot of us stop for coffee on our way to work in the morning. Maybe it's paying for that person behind you in line or the car behind you in the drive-thru, as long as they're not buying for the entire office. But you just do something to be kind. My favorite is this, volunteer. This community is filled with amazing nonprofit organizations that need volunteer help. Pick an evening a week or a day during the week and volunteer some of your time, even if it's just an hour or so. You can have a great impact. The key to being kind is really, really simple. Really simple. Do something for someone else that doesn't benefit you. You know, in the world today, we've got so many opportunities to network and to position ourselves. And my favorite one lately is we want to improve our personal brand. So we're always thinking about things that we can improve for us. And maybe we need to spend some of that time thinking about how we can improve things for others just by being kind. How many of you have read something on Facebook or a blog, or you've seen a story on TV or on the radio, and you go, oh man, I feel so bad for that person or that situation? It's not enough to feel bad for someone. It's not enough to feel badly for their circumstances. Pity has no power. Pity doesn't feed a hungry child. Pity doesn't rescue an abandoned mother. Pity doesn't help a farmer learn how to grow food or lift someone up who's down. Kindness goes beyond pity and becomes action. And action is the key to changing the world. Action. That brings us back to that original question again. Can Convoy of Hope save the world? No. Can you save the world? Yes. I want to share one more quote with you in closing. This lady has done so much to help people in need around the world. Mother Teresa, and she's got so many quotes. You probably know half a dozen of them. But this one really fits with what we're talking about today. And she said this, I alone. Now, this is the lady that has probably done more as an individual to eradicate poverty or to help treat poverty than anybody. And she said, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. Kindness is that stone. When you cast kindness, you're creating ripples that have a long effect, a long-term effect far beyond what you can see. Because when you're kind to this person, then this person is kind to somebody else. And that promotes them to be kind to someone. And it becomes a lifestyle. My boss has a new book coming out next month. It's called Your Next 24 Hours. This is a shameless plug for that, by the way. This book is about taking the next 24 hours of your life and using that to be kind. And it's full of examples of people that are kind. But I want to encourage you today, begin a movement of kindness in your life. Begin a movement of kindness in your circle of influence. Take that stone and cast it into the areas where you live and work and play. You can start that movement of kindness in your life, your circle of influence, your family today. Who knows? Maybe you can save the world. Thank you.